What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We are here with some more breaking news. We are going to talk about one free agent to be, that is Marco Reus, and where in MLS he could end up, the latest I know, and then maybe a little speculation about where I think he'd fit the best. Let's go for it. All right, so the way we're going to work on this one, we're going to start with the information, and we'll start there and then gradually get more speculative from there. So right now, I'm going to tell you everything I know on the Marco Reus situation. I do know that he's had preliminary talks with St. Louis City SC. At this stage, things are very, very early. I must stress that. I must be boring. I must couch it. There is nothing that is imminent. There is nothing advanced. There is nothing even, halfway there. I don't know when we don't really use, when breaking news don't really say anything about anything either advanced or preliminary. I don't know. It is very, very early is all I got to say. But this signing would make sense. St. Louis City can add a designated player. There is a lot of connections between Marco Reus and this team. Marco Reus remains very close with his good pal Roman Bürki. The two played at Borussia Dortmund for so many years. Sporting director Lutz Pfannenstiel had been in the Bundesliga for a long time. His network is very, very strong over there. Head coach Bradley Carnell played in the Bundesliga, and again, other key players beyond Bürki include Edward Löwen, played in the Bundesliga, João Klaus, kind of came through the Bundesliga, even though it didn't quite work out with him there. But there's a lot of Bundesliga influence in this team, so it did not take a lot to deduce and speculate that St. Louis City just might be interested in Marco Reus. But I'm here to tell you, ironclad, per sources, Marco Reus and St. Louis City have had preliminary talks. Reus will leave Borussia Dortmund this summer when his contract expires. The club legend has done so much. He has been a 3-time Bundesliga Player of the Year in his career. He's gotten to a Champions League final with Dortmund. He's won the German Cup 3 times with Dortmund and a runner-up in the Bundesliga 5 times. He is considering where he wants to continue his career. Reus has been linked with Turkey and Saudi Arabia and MLS. Again, those are 3 obvious ones, but it's just kind of the truth in this situation. People in Germany, reporters in Germany, have it's pretty widespread that they don't think that he's going to continue in the Bundesliga. He does not want to play against Borussia Dortmund. And again, to experience something new in his career at this stage. We shall see whether it's going to be in MLS, whether it will or will not be with St. Louis City. But again, I stress this is very early in the process. St. Louis City has kind of established themselves at the front of the line here. I will say they have not added Marco Reus to their discovery list. And yes, cue all the jokes in the comments about, wow, St. Louis discovered Marco Reus. That's pretty cool, blah, blah, blah. I want to tell you, you are not the first person to come up with that joke. I've heard it about 1 million times, so my patience word is gone. I don't think it's that funny at this stage. I get it if you're unfamiliar with MLS and the parlance there within. But for thoughts, for our purposes here, just look at the discovery rights as essentially you need to have those rights before you sign a player in MLS. St. Louis City has not added Marco Reus to their discovery list because there's a finite amount of space on that discovery list, and they haven't bumped off somebody else to put in a claim for Reus. So that just shows, again, it's a lot of words, that there's going to be a lot of sideways jokes about it, but I say that just to explain that's how preliminary things are right now. If they were even a little bit further down the road, they would have made a discovery claim by now. But that shows that St. Louis aren't like, oh my God, full-blown, like, let's go get this target. This is our guy. It's going to happen. This is, again, very, very early. All right, that's the boring factual stuff. Let's talk about how he would fit with St. Louis City SC. What kind of player that any MLS club or any club in Turkey or Saudi or wherever he ends up deciding to go, what kind of player are they going to get and where he's at in the stage of his career? What kind of player would an MLS club be getting in Marco Reus as he's turning 35 at the end of the month? Still a very, very talented and very productive one, despite kind of the injury issues that have plagued him in his career. Reus has 169 goals and 130 assists and 426 appearances with Dortmund. I hate just throwing numbers like that, but that's nuts. That's almost 300 goal contributions and 426 appearances, some of which off the bench, right? Like, this dude, it's hard to overstate just how incredible this guy is on his day. And the combo of goal scoring and chance creation, it's absolutely elite. Again, but you're not getting 26-year-old Marco Reus, of course, right? Like, so let's look at the numbers for this year and last year. He hasn't played a ton. He hasn't surpassed 1,500 league minutes in either of the last 2 seasons. But when he's played, he's been very productive. He's got 11 goals and 13 assists in the last 2,800 minutes, essentially, over the last 2 seasons. Now, part of being a designated player and somebody you're going to spend a whole lot of money on in MLS, that player needs to be on the field, right? Like, maybe Lionel Messi can get away with playing 20 to 24 games because he's putting up historic numbers. But part of the deal with being a DP is you need to kind of be there game in and game out. Where is Marco Reus's body like these days? How many minutes can you rely on? Like, is he ready to play 3,000 minutes across all competitions in each season in MLS? Maybe, maybe not. But if he is, he's going to be extremely productive. And again, obviously, not breaking news here, the Bundesliga is a higher standard than MLS. So, Marco Reus, you'd assume that these numbers are going to get juiced up a little bit if it comes to MLS. So those are the box score numbers. Let's look at the underlying numbers. Marco Reus this season in the Bundesliga, still absolutely elite compared to other attacking midfielders and wingers. Non-penalty expected goals is up in the 90th percentile. Assists in the 93rd percentile. Non-penalty expected goals, expected assists, all the way up there. Surprisingly very high in tackles. I would not expect him to come here and be working like a madman defensively. And if you're an MLS team, you don't even really want that. You want him to conserve his energy to attack. But he's not going to be a stiff out there defensively. He doesn't know how to be, which is great because he comes through the gegenpressing system that Dortmund has had for so long. You're getting an attacker. You could play him central. You could play him wide. You can play him as a second forward. Like, the beauty of Marco Reus is he could play in so many different positions and affect the game in so many different ways. I could see him thriving in a possession-based system. Obviously, we've seen how incredible he's been in a pressing transition system. Getting him into a little open space would be awesome. There are plenty of teams that I think he could fit in. And we're going to start with St. Louis. Again, we're going to start with the real information of this is a team that have had at least some preliminary talks for him. Here's how I think that he would fit in this St. Louis system. He could play either one of those like inside winger roles, or for me, probably just play as a second forward off of a target man like João Klaus. And João Klaus is going to be here for a long time, and put some more pieces around him, maybe some younger guys who are going to help him with all of the running. And again, I don't think that he's going to be a slouch. I don't think he's going to be a stiff defensively, but what you want Marco Reus to do is affect the game in the attack. And these depth charts, they can be tweaked all the time, right? Sam Adinran's been in and out of the team. AZ Jackson's been awesome, but like, you kind of get the idea where they could play this 4-2-2-2 type of thing, or 4-2-3-1, or however like amorphous that you want to talk about it in tactics. He could play off of João Klaus, and this is a really good team, right? Like, they've had 7 draws in 10 games this season. Marco Reus is the dude who turns draws into wins, right? And that's the most valuable thing you can get out of a designated player. So this team knows that they need to add juice to the attack, and they were going to this summer. Maybe it'll be Marco Reus. I think that'd be pretty sick. St. Louis isn't the only team where he'd fit really well. Again, I wanna preface this part of it after St. Louis is speculating where else in MLS he could fit and what that could be. So I want to say that this is all speculation. This is not sourcing. So with that being said, another team that I would like Marco Reus for is the New York Red Bulls. New York Red Bulls, I know, are big game hunting this summer. Look, they've been linked with Timo Werner. I was told that was real. We'll see if Tottenham picks up his purchase option or not. I don't think that. If I'm the Red Bulls, I'm probably looking for a more traditional forward to add to this group. But Marco Reus obviously would make this team much better. And again, they're already a very good team. If you put him in attack with Van Zier, Morgan, and Forsberg, and Marco Reus, it's incredible. Another bonus is they have a lot of depth in the attack. And again, whether or not that depth is good enough is very fair to ask questions for. Elias Manuel has not scored enough goals for this team. There have been plenty of issues, like, and who knows how long Lewis Morgan's going to hold up. But at least with the other options in this attack, Marco Reus might not have to play 3,000 minutes, right? Or whatever else it is. So I would like this fit very, very well. And again, you get that Bundesliga connection with Emil Forsberg and Marco Reus. Everybody who had Ultimate Team in FIFA 14 are rejoicing of the idea of Forsberg and Marco Reus. All right, that's a bit of a stretch. That Forsberg card was never so great because he didn't have the pace. But my God, Marco Reus, thank you very much for all of the years of goals and fun. Another team that I could see Marco Reus going to, and this has much more to do, I think, with money, and this team will not be outbid if they decide this is who we want, the Chicago Fire. Chicago Fire have desperately been swinging, trying to get back to relevancy. They broke their club transfer record this window to sign Hugo Kuipers, a center forward, around $12 million. They need to move on from Xherdan Shaqiri at some point, right? Just is what it is. Marco Reus might not fit perfectly with everything right now. What they really need is a chance creator, but Marco Reus can do that. And then you bridge the gap to when Shaqiri leaves, and you get a full-time chance creator. Or between Marco Reus, Xherdan Shaqiri, Brian Gutierrez, there's enough chance creation within that group. Look, again, I don't love this fit, but man, if I'm Chicago, I'm picking up the phone and saying, give me a price. Name your number, right? Because he'd make this team much better. He'd make this team more relevant, everything else. And when he got the money like this ownership group does, you could do much, much worse. And why not pick up the phone and try to convince him? One more team that I'm going to throw out here, and I don't really think this is realistic in any way, but just hang with me here for a second. The Vancouver Whitecaps. The perfect team for Marco Reus is a team that's very established, very good, and plays an attractive style. This Vancouver team, if they don't add anybody for the rest of the year, they're going to be a top 4, top 5 team in the Western Conference. They are a very good team. This foundation is very good. Ryan Gold and Brian White is an awesome attacking duo. There's so much to like about this squad. The issue with this squad is they don't have that top end talent. And again, I know this sounds a little bit disrespectful to Ryan Gold, but that's just my opinion, that I don't think that they have that to push them over the top. Marco Reus would be that. And the best part about it is, if Marco Reus were to get injured, or if Marco Reus were to need a couple weeks off, they're not going to be dying and desperate like, oh my God, I know your hamstring's bothering you a little bit, but we need 3 points this week. This midweek game, you need to play. No, this Vancouver team is going to be really good with or without him. But they have the opportunity to be elite and towards the top of that Western Conference if they were to add Marco Reus. Again, I don't really see a situation in which this happens, but I can dream. I do think that the Vancouver Whitecaps are going to sign a DP. I've heard some rumors in terms of like their ambitions, and that's very good. This team has been really good at a lot of things. Going for that big level ambition hasn't quite been it. The Ryan Gold signing was very, very good. I think that was honestly partly a shrewd signing. If they go out and try to take a big swing like Marco Reus, that'd be awesome, but we'll see what happens. All right, that'll do it for today. A little quick one. I thought the Marco Reus news was big enough to just go out and riff on it. Minimal preparation. Just, turn the camera on and let me go. That's what this one was. This wasn't a ton of preparation, but we'll fill in the graphics on the back end here. Stay tuned on Marco Reus. Stay tuned on everything else that's going to come this summer. Look, we already know Olivier Giroud is coming to LAFC. And I think that there's going to be some more very big signings. We're almost to the point of the year where I'm going to be doing a lot of focus on outgoing transfers in MLS. We'll have something on that to kind of set the table in the coming weeks. I haven't really set a schedule for what else is coming from this YouTube channel. You guys, I've been keeping you on your toes. If I don't even know what I'm doing, how do you know what I'm doing? No more Guy Fieri stories today. I'm sorry. That's all I got. That's probably a one-time thing. So I'll just wrap it up on that as I keep rambling.